Welcome back, it's Jess. In my last video, I talked to you guys about the journey I took to get to where I am as a self-taught web developer. And in this video, I'm gonna talk to you guys about the resources I used to get there, and all but 2 were free. Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's Jess, and in this video, I'm going to finally share the resources that I used in helping me get my first tech job as a self-taught web developer. These are things that I still use to this day. I get a lot of questions on how I studied and what I used, and a lot of people are asking me what my exact roadmap, so to speak, was for getting my first tech job as a self-taught web developer. And to be honest, everything that I do may not work for you, so I always suggest worrying about what you want out of your tech career and planning accordingly. That is my biggest tip. That is the biggest piece of advice. It also leads me to my next point in mentioning that while it happened for me within 3 months, that is not very common. I've heard a couple other people say that it happened in 3 months, or it seems to be the running number. But for me, it happened that way just because it happened that way. The things that I did just kind of led up to it happening in that time frame. So don't get stuck on having to get it done super quick, or that it should happen in 3 months, because it won't always be the case. I also want to give a special shout out to Tech Love Women. It is a woman-owned clothing brand that fuses fashion with tech. I have this sweatshirt, which I absolutely love. This is not sponsored by any way. I just truly love this sweatshirt. Super comfortable. So I will leave the description down below. I believe this came in white, but I think it is sold out. I'm not sure what sizes are left in this black size, but she also her and her sister just also released a coder cropped hoodie, and it is so cute. I just ordered mine in I think it's called the apricot color. I could be wrong, but all of that will be in the description below if you are interested in some tech swag, I guess. So yeah, I love different fashion pieces that speak to tech. So if you guys have any suggestions, please leave them down in the description below. So I started my tech journey back in about 2018, and if you want to hear more about that, on how I got my first tech job as a self-taught web developer with no boot camps or science, computer science degrees, please be sure to check out that video. I also want to point out that I am still very, very, very new at all of this. Even the position that I have, sometimes you get these tech jobs and you may not be doing exactly what you thought you may have been doing or were going to be doing. And for me, that is the case. By far for my current position, because I'm not really coding as much as I would like to. So I just wanted to put that up front, that I'm not here to be this know-all, coder. I want this to be a environment where we can all learn together and share tips and tricks and grow together. So now that I've got that out of the way, all of that, I want to share my resources that helped me and still help me on my journey. All right, so the first set of resources, or I guess category of resources that I want to talk about, are books. Books are super amazing. Just for reference, you have this one spot where okay, I know that this information is going to be found in this book. And obviously books are super organized when they're, chapter or scholarly books, or, books that you can learn from. A book in particular that I want to mention is HTML and CSS for Dummies. Now, I got mine at the library. I believe it's about $25 on Amazon from the last time I checked. Of course, you can find different things for different prices, so look around, figure out what works for you. But these books should be in the library. Go to your local library. I'm telling you guys, they have a whole computer science section with all types of books on different languages, different things that you can do with the web, building a website, all these different things. And so I would highly recommend checking out the library for your book resources. That way you also kind of get a taste of what the book is like before you actually spend the money, because not all of these books are going to be for you. So that's the thing. With all of this, you just want to figure out what is good for you and tailor it accordingly. The HTML and CSS for Dummies book was really, really good for me, because it gave me that intro in a way where it really is kind of for dummies, I guess, to play on the book, for lack of better words. It watered it down and it made it so easy to understand. And it also played a really good role in aiding me when I needed some reference points when I was building my mock websites at the very beginning of my journey. When I was practicing, I was building a mock blogger website. So it was a blogger website. It's pretty cool. I actually don't have that code anymore, and I wish I did, but it was on an older laptop that completely died on me, and I I still haven't figured out how to get all that stuff off of it. So anyway, it helped me when I was having brain freezes about, okay, what exactly am I supposed to do with CSS grids? How do I get this to be here, this here? And so HTML and CSS for Dummies is really, really good for that. Watered down intro to the whole world, and also for reference. Now this book, I believe I talked about it in maybe in my first vlog on this channel. My first I think it's like Day in the Life of a Web Developer. So if you're interested in that, please check it out as well. But JavaScript and jQuery. Now, I got that book before I was acclimated and in tune with the whole idea of learning JavaScript, like vanilla JavaScript, which means that you learn JavaScript, you learn the language without any frameworks. And once you learn it that way, and it'll be so much easier once you start to introduce yourself to all the different frameworks that go along with the language. But I still recommend JavaScript and jQuery because it still helped me really, really, really understand the basics of JavaScript. And it is an absolutely beautiful book on the inside. The illustration, the colors, I'm like super into colors. I love colors. So that book is just very appealing and it makes you want to pick it up. So I highly recommend, if you are kind of like, I would say beginner status, which a lot of us are, JavaScript and jQuery is an amazing book. I believe it starts out kind of breaking the learning is kind of like real world situation. It's kind of taking you on this journey of building a website for a hotel, or give you an examples of starting a hotel business. And yeah, it's just really, really good. So I highly recommend checking that out. I actually purchased my JavaScript and jQuery book, a hardcover version, on eBay for $5. Now that I've looked, I think that they're a little bit more pricey. When I say pricey, I mean like $25, $30 range. You might be able to find them. I'm pretty sure they're on Amazon, but again, check around because you will be surprised where you can find these books. People have donated these books. People are selling them on other platforms. But for me, I look on eBay. I typically look on Amazon, Target, and eBay for different things if I don't go to the library or if I can't find them at the library. So honestly, that's about it for the book section. It's pretty short and simple and sweet. I really haven't picked up too many books yet because a lot of my resources you'll see are digital. So if you have any recommendations on someone, or for someone like me who is learning JavaScript, and I'm pretty much at the very beginning of my learning journey with this, please leave your suggestions in the description or in the comments below so that I and other people can see your recommendations. So the second category are platforms. So my top favorite one, I believe, is Free Code Camp. And it's just like the name says, it's free. You do have the option to pay like a monthly fee just to help out the content curators on that platform to continue to create that content, because they're actually doing this for little to no money, I believe. And they kind of, rely on our monthly donations. But if you can't do any donations, it's still completely free, and it's an awesome platform. It's the things that I like about it is that it's very interactive. You are coding as you go. So for each slide, I'll call it, there's an informational section, and at the very end of that, when you get done reading it, there's a question, and it's kind of like a code challenge, and to get to the next slide you have to pass that code challenge. So you take what you learn, apply it, and then once you actually get it right, it says cool, you got it, and then you click the button to go to the next slide. So I really like that because I am a hands-on learner, but I'm also a visual learner. So I like to read and see what I'm learning, but I also like to do it. And I think that it's amazing for people like that because you're actually doing it all at once. It's not like you're getting all this information and then jump over here and maybe like a week later, now you have a test. I like that you get tested as you go. So that was a huge thing that drew me to that and continues to draw me to Free Code Camp. I actually have restarted my whole curriculum on there. Which is another reason why I love Free Code Camp is because it's curriculum based. And again, if you didn't watch my last video, I mentioned I am a curriculum based learner. I do not like to not know what's coming next. I kind of like to have this organized, like by the book roadmap of things to do. And if I don't, I kind of look at the bigger picture too soon and expect to know all of these things, and it's unrealistic, and then I get overwhelmed and then I don't do it. So Free Code Camp is really good at giving you that curriculum because you always know what's coming next. You do your HTML and CSS, and then after you get done with all of those modules, you jump to the next, which is like JavaScript basics, and then you go into jQuery, and then at the very end of it, you have a set of projects. And the cool thing about these projects is that they all are able to be used on a portfolio. And at the very end of the project list is an actual portfolio where you create your portfolio website and you can put those projects onto that particular website. So I think that's really cool that it's kind of like you're not wasting time. You're learning and applying, but also building things that actually go towards getting a job. Another cool thing since that I've noticed that they've added since the last time I took this curriculum, this track, is that they have added a coding interview prep. That is super dope because when you get to a certain point, you start putting out your applications and things like that. A lot of these tech companies want to do they might have a technical test, or like a coding test. You'll get asked all these technical questions. So I think it's really, really super dope that Free Code Camp has implemented a coding interview prep into their platform so that it can actually make you feel ready. Okay, I've completed all these steps, I've completed the curriculum, I've done my 6 projects, and now I've done this coding prep and I feel good, I'm ready to apply. So I think that's super awesome. So Free Code Camp, again, all of the things that I'm talking about today will be in the description below. So if you are interested, please check it out. The next platform that I used at the very beginning was SoloLearn. I think this was actually the very first thing I've ever used as far as like a digital learning tool. SoloLearn is something you can download straight to your phone or any mobile app. I believe it's on Android. I would think it's on Android, but for sure iPhone and iPad. It is a series. I think when I first downloaded it, this was again back in 2018, it was a series of multiple apps. So for instance, they have coding tracks where you learn languages like C#, JavaScript, Python, HTML, CSS, all types of different things are on this platform. And before, I think you had to download each app separately. So if you wanted to learn C#, you had to download the SoloLearn C#, and so on and so forth. But now I think you just download SoloLearn and everything is in one app, which is pretty good because it keeps you kind of like organize everything in one space if you don't want too many apps on your phone. But yeah, SoloLearn is free as well. I do believe that they have some paid aspects to it now because they become so big and widely used. So if you are interested though, SoloLearn is awesome. The first language I ever started learning, even before HTML and CSS, because I just jumped into it blindly, was C#, and it was because that's what SoloLearn kind of recommended. It was like at the top of the list, and I assumed that you just go through all these different languages and just keep going, and C# was first, so I picked that up first. But what happened is, and I'll talk about this tool later, when I went to go do the Harvard CS50 learning, modules, I actually was able to take a lot of that information that I learned about C# from SoloLearn and apply it to my Harvard CS50, and it made it a lot easier to understand. So I highly recommend that. Again, this is something that you can use as a hands-on tool. So as you learn, you can actually code and you go through tests and questions and things like that. And I think that's super important to apply everything that you learn as you're going. So as I mentioned, I did Harvard CS50. Harvard CS50 is a course that you can take for free through Harvard, the actual university, through a website called edx.org. And again, it'll be down below. On edx.org, they provide so many different technical computer science courses from these Ivy League colleges. I think I've seen some from Princeton on there. I'm not sure what other schools, but I heard about Harvard CS50 through one of my previous coworkers. Her son was actually going to school for computer science, and he actually stopped going and he started to self-teach, and he told her about a course that he was taking, Harvard CS50, and she relayed that information to me just in conversation. She didn't even know that I was doing computer or learning how to code or anything. She just we just started talking about it, and she shared that information, and it was awesome to get that piece of information because I had no idea that that was something that was out there. Harvard CS50 is an amazing course. Every year, the instructor has an actual class on Harvard's campus where they are teaching an actual lecture class, but they record it, and so people like us who aren't there or don't go to Harvard can see it as well, and we can learn as we go. And they also have resources where you can contact different instructors or talk to your peers whenever you get stuck or have questions. And it's also, it's an actual class. It's an actual class where you get these different, lecture notes, you get different projects that you have to do, and you actually submit them. You actually push them up to GitHub. I was going to say GitLab because I use GitLab a lot at my job, but you push them up to GitHub. So these are things, again, that will help you towards getting your job, because when you apply, it always is helpful to put your GitHub link onto your resume and onto your portfolio so that the people who are going to be hiring you can see what you've been working on and how much you've been pushing. So that's another tip that I'm just going to throw in there. It has nothing to do with this video, but when you're actually practicing and learning how to code, anything that you push that you think is great in a portfolio piece, try to push to GitHub as much as possible, because like I said, when they click on your link that's on your resume to your actual GitHub space, they can see a track record of like, okay, they dang near we're coding like every day, or at least a certain amount of times a month. So yeah, that is something that is awesome. So yeah, these projects, in order to get credit for them at the very end and say like, okay, I actually finished this, you do have to push them up. Now, another cool thing about this is, like I said, it is free, but you can also choose to pay. At the time of me filming this, I believe it's $100 you pay for the certificate that you can actually use on your resume. So what I have done in the past is take the course, and so you can take the course if you're still hung up about if you want to pay $100 or not for the certificate. You can take the entire course, and at the very end, if you're like, I do want my certification, I went through all this work, let me have a certification, a piece of paper that says I actually completed this and get certified, you can then go and pay it, and they just check and make sure everything is completed, everything is submitted, and then they give it to you. So it's not like you have to restart the whole thing. Like if you start out not paying for the certificate and you do all these different courses and different, homework, things that they include in the course, then you have to start over once you are like, man, I really wish I would have paid $100 for the certificate. No, you don't have to do that. You can take it for free and decide later. As long as they're all completed and pushed, you can get the certificate. So the last platform I want to talk about is Team Treehouse. Team Treehouse is something that I'm currently using, as well as Free Code Camp. Team Treehouse is not free. At the time of me recording this, it is $25. It might say $35 on the website. I'm not really sure, but out of my account, it's taking $25. So I don't know if I caught them on like a discount or like a promotional period that they were going through, but I've had it back on for about, this is my second month now, having Team Treehouse activated, and I absolutely love Team Treehouse because, again, I am a curriculum girl. I need to see what is next. I finished this, what do I do next? That is me. That's the best way that I learn and keep myself from getting so overwhelmed. So yeah, Team Treehouse, if you like more of a curriculum-based style learning, but you don't want to pay to go to school or a boot camp, Team Treehouse is amazing. If you are familiar at all with any kind of self-taught web developers in the YouTube space, and I'll talk about him again later on in this video, Real Chris Shawn, he is how I found out about Team Treehouse. He is awesome, self-taught coder, and he pretty much learned a lot of his knowledge from Team Treehouse. So I highly recommend that. You also are coding as you go. They have workspaces that you can set up, so as you're learning the material, you can actually practice and do the coding challenges. But throughout the course, so say you watch like 3 different videos, you learn, and then all of a sudden there's this test. So it's quizzing you on everything that you just learned. And I really, really like that. And before you can move on, once again, you have to pass that. So that's a really good resource. I highly recommend Team Treehouse. If you can afford the monthly fee, I highly recommend doing that, because you also want to know, like, yeah, free is good, but it's never anything wrong with investing in yourself. You should always invest in yourself. So anywhere you can, try to do that because it'll always work out if you're serious about something. So the very last category are YouTubers. I am an avid YouTube watcher. I think I mentioned this before. I do not like cable. I haven't had cable in 7-8 years. I don't miss it. Sometimes I do when I want to watch Teen Mom, but that's a different story. But outside of that, I am on YouTube 95% of the time if I'm consuming content, because I feel like that's where you get the real, I like to watch documentaries. I like to feel real life experiences through other people. And so that's where I turn to when I'm trying to learn some more things about this whole space, this tech space. Like, what are other people doing? What are their experiences and what are their journeys? And so in that process of doing that, I have come across these few YouTubers that I'm going to mention today. These are not all of the YouTubers that I watch, but these are the ones that I can think of that specifically has some type of pivotal, chess piece in my coding journey at the very beginning and even now. These are people that I go to when I'm like, I don't know what to do in this particular space, because these YouTubers are very different. They all have, their own things to add to this community. But these are just my go-tos. Like, I know that so-and-so will have information on this. So yeah, without further ado, here are the YouTubers. So the first YouTuber I want to talk about is Traversy Media. If you are on any kind of coding journey, I don't even want to say self-taught, any kind of coding journey, you've probably come across a Traversy Media video or his Twitter or his Instagram. He is amazing. I believe he's self-taught, he's a programmer, and he's kind of taken his passion for coding and turned it into kind of a passion for teaching. He probably still programs, but for the most part, I know him on a teacher aspect. He has amazing YouTube videos, very informational videos on pretty much anything you can think of in the front end space, probably the back end too, but I kind of tend to focus on things front end. He also has courses that you can purchase. Like, currently I'm also taking a course by him on Udemy. I believe I paid $10. You can kind of get Udemy courses for a really good price if you haven't tried it out. And if you don't know what Udemy is, it's kind of like a Skillshare. You just get on there and search for a skill that you want to learn and figure out what courses will tailor to that. But I found his JavaScript, he has a vanilla JavaScript from the very beginning course. I highly recommend. I kind of feel like, for me, to be honest, me going through the JavaScript and jQuery book and the free Code Camp JavaScript curriculum, it kind of made it easier for me to understand his version. Don't get me wrong, his version is really easy as well, but it's a lot more fast paced. So I feel like me having the background knowledge of the basics first helps me keep up with his learning style. Now, you can slow down the video. It's not like he's talking fast or anything. It's just kind of like a different kind of pace. So I like it a lot because you can actually do projects during the course. I believe there's like 12 projects, and they're real world projects that you can actually, you'll do the projects, but then you should always go back and tailor them to your liking. Maybe add some CSS, some color, some animations, whatever makes sense. So another YouTuber I want to talk about is Joshua Fluke. Now, Joshua Fluke is not somebody that I actually go to for like learning how to code, but he gives you a lot of great advice when it comes to actually working in the industry. I love his channel because he has really cool videos. Like, he'll talk to actual HR, employees, or, people who are actually employing people for these positions. And they actually talk about the requirements for these positions and how they look at the different resumes that they get. So I highly suggest that if you want like more of an insight look of how it might be getting a job and actually working in the field, I highly recommend his channel. The next YouTuber I want to mention is Real Chris Shawn. I love Real Chris Shawn because he just has the most inspirational self-taught journey. He's actually the first person that I came across on YouTube that was on a self-taught journey, and he's actually the reason why I stayed on my self-taught journey, because I was able to have a face to this mystery idea that you could be in this field without a computer science degree or going to a boot camp. Solely just having the passion and dedication and determination and the consistency to learn these things yourself can actually pay off, and you can get a job. Again, he's also how I learned about Team Treehouse, and he's just an all-around good spirit. You can tell, like, he has really good energy that comes off on his videos. Of course, I don't know him personally, but from what I can tell, at least in this space, he has really, really good energy, and his videos are very inspirational. So even sometimes when I'm feeling doubtful about progressing in my career and starting new things and like really pushing myself to get better and do better, so we can make more monies, I go to his channel just to get that information. And also Chau Codes, I didn't have him in my notes to talk about, but Chau Codes is somebody who is his friend, and they've actually collabed. I think they have a podcast together, so I'll still link his channel down below as well, Chau Codes, because I want to say he was already in tech, but he just got his first job as like a web developer or software engineer. I can't remember, but again, very inspirational. He gives you kind of like a day in the life vibe, shows you kind of like his experience working throughout the day. So yeah, real Chris Shawn, and then I'll just sprinkle in Chau Codes. And the last YouTuber that I want to talk about is Coding Phase. Now, he's somebody that I also found at the very, very beginning when I was researching all these different people on YouTube, or just kind of going down that rabbit hole of videos, and came across his channel. He's really good because he actually does like portfolio reviews. So he has subscribers that have sent him their portfolios, and he actually goes through and rates them and critiques them and gives them advice on how they can make it better, or how perfect it may be, or what they can take away. Whatever the case is, he has those videos on his channel. And even if you aren't somebody who submits your resume to him, I'm not sure if this is something he just does all the time, or if it's something that he just does on a whim, but even if you never submit your resume to him, you can still learn from these videos and learn about learn from their critiques and see what he's kind of talking about in that space, and it'll give you ideas on what to do with your own portfolio. So that about does it for my resources videos. I'm not really actually sure how long this video is going to be. Hopefully not too long. I tried to get all the information in. Again, I did want to mention, like I said before, I can't really give you, because I get this question, I can't really give you a blueprint on what you should do as far as your journey, because I don't know your journey, and everyone's different. Everyone has different learning styles. Everyone has different scenarios and different situations that they will be put in based off of what they put out. So all I can do is give you my experience, and hopefully that helps you enough to kind of like tailor your own, because you always want your experiences to be your own. When I look at these different resources and these YouTubers, I'm not emulating, I'm not trying to be just like them and have a journey just like theirs. I'm kind of picking apart different pieces that I need, and then I'm creating my own puzzle. So I really want that for you guys. Again, like I said, I get this question, so it's like, I don't want you guys to think that I'm just ignoring you. I try to respond and just say, hey, I have this particular video, or I'm gonna be doing this particular video. And I want you guys to understand that I do these videos so that it can aid you on your journey, but also so that you can help me. So if you see somewhere where I'm lacking, or you see something that I can learn from, or know, different resources that I can use, please share them with me so that I can share them with the community, or you can share them in my comments. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. If you guys have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.